Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rob Has a Podcast. I'm your host, Taryn Armstrong, and tonight we are here to talk about the latest Eviction episode from Big Brother Canada 7, where the blood veto was in play, but it was not played. With me tonight is Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
Oh, I'm just great. When this episode was just so stupid and nothing happened and it was a flop as usual, and I just feel like just the whole thing is garbage. I feel like when Kiki gave that speech against Dane, I was like, okay, all right, something's going on here. And then the blood veto comes into play. And then this is the opportunity that, first of all, they could keep Kiki, who now wants to go against Dane as a vendetta against Dane. And also, in the same one fell swoop, get rid of Mark. And that's going to happen, right? Oh, no, wait, it doesn't happen because nothing good happens to us in this season.
Melissa is so upset she can't even wait until after the introduction.
Yeah, sorry, Brent. I didn't even let you get introduced yet.
No, I do it all the time. Come on, please.
Is Brent. How you doing, Brent?
Yeah, for real. Like, I mean, that's like something I do on a regular basis. You should see me on the Drag Race podcast. Mike can't even get my name out before I'm already yelling at him. Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm wearing my glasses tonight because I was crying earlier. I couldn't get in my contacts because of the terrible play in the house this week from Kiki. Really, not a lot to like, and I'm particularly, I know that Melissa doesn't share this opinion, but I'm glad that Kiki was evicted because I wasn't liking anything that I was getting from her.
Yes. So we're here tonight. We saw Kiki not walk out the door, but be carried out the door, and she is now the final person evicted prior to the jury starting. We have an HOH competition that is honestly probably done at this point, but we do not know the results yet. If we find out who became the HOH by the time this podcast is still going, then we will let you know that the spoilers will be coming. But for now, we are completely unspoiled, and we will just be talking about this episode and really this week on the show. And really, obviously, the headline here is, we found out what the blood veto does, and it's pretty similar to what I think we've really been, saying for a little while now, which is, the Tom Palmer theory, which was basically the blood veto holder just decides who goes home. And that was basically it. Kira just decides whichever person they want to have go home and which person they want to have to stay in the house. And that was it. And I gotta say, I don't like this twist, and I like that it wasn't used, because I know that it was disappointing for a lot of people, and I can totally see why. But I don't think that the problem is the way they gave it away. I don't think the problem is the person they gave it to. I don't think the problem is the fact that it wasn't used. I think the problem is it was a dumb twist to begin with. Because just imagine a scenario with me, right? And this is going to take some leaps of faith because I'm going to have to imagine that Kiki is a good player. So,
okay. Well,
suspend your disbelief. But imagine that Kiki in the 11th hour just flips a switch, becomes a good player, and starts, overhearing conversations about the pretty boys, starts working on people like Damien and Corey, and pulls in some votes, and manages to flip Dane against Adam because he's so frustrated, and she convinces him that Adam is about to betray him and the pretty boys because he's working too closely with Sam. And these are things that a good player could do if they were good enough. Imagine she does all of this and she manages to flip the vote, and it's like, oh my god, we're finally getting it. The house is flipping against the pretty boys. They're splitting apart. Kiki managed to stay. Oh, wait a minute though. Kira just decided, nah, I still don't like you, Kiki, and just gets rid of the whole thing and says, no, I don't care that you flipped the vote at the last minute. I still want Mark to stay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what this twist could do. And I feel like when you introduce a twist into the game, you need to think about all of the scenarios where it can go wrong. And I feel like there are so many scenarios that can go wrong. Even a scenario where it's not used is now considered wrong, and it in many ways just gets people's hopes up that something might change, only for it to not change, which makes it seem like, oh, the twist failed because it wasn't used. But no, it shouldn't have been there in the first place here, Melissa.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so not that I like this other twist, but I like this other twist better than this twist, which is that halting hex twist where you can just cancel the eviction. I'd prefer that over this one where one person gets to decide who goes home. I don't like the halting hex twist either, but I like it better because then it's like, okay, worst case scenario, the halting hex is used, nobody gets evicted, and then you can, as a group, be like, let's band together and do the exact same thing over again. Like, okay, yeah, it's a waste of a week and it sucks for us to watch, but at the same time, it's like, it doesn't affect someone's game in this way. So I don't like the twist at all. I think that it would have been exciting for her to use it, them to use it. And I think that I would have enjoyed watching them use it. But at the same time, it's like, overall, for the integrity of the game, it's better that they didn't use it. So I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like this whole season is a season of things almost happening. Like, there's never a situation where things actually are happening. It's always like there's some rumors that, oh, we're going to go against the guys. Oh, but nothing happens and we decide not to do anything. Like, oh, Sam might put up 2 members of the Pretty Boys and it's going to be a big deal. Oh, no, she didn't do that. Oh, we might see this twist happen. We might see this whatever veto used, or, oh, Damien's going to get this power. Oh, no, wait, nothing happened. I just feel like they're setting us up every time for something exciting and then just nothing. And it's getting frustrating.
To be fair, most of the time it's the cast that's setting us up. This time
it
was
it's the cast for sure.
Well, this time it was production that set us up. I wouldn't blame this on Kira. Kira made the right play here in not using the blood veto. I mean, it was the correct play. If they used the blood veto, they put themselves at the forefront of everyone's mind. Now they have used the twist, as Taryn has often pointed out. Using a twist by its nature, like, makes you a bigger threat than maybe you otherwise were. So for all intents and purposes, this was the correct play to keep Mark in the house.
And this is all on Kiki too, because she could have fought for that veto.
Let's talk about that, Melissa.
She absolutely could have fought for that veto.
Okay, we have some tea to talk about. Okay, so this was tweeted about 2 hours ago. All right, so some person on Twitter, Rose, said, "Let it forever be on the record. The ultimate reason why Kiki was evicted from Big Brother Canada 7 is because she didn't cuddle and kiss Kira. If their creepy and inappropriate advances weren't rejected, they would have used the blood veto. Rejection stings. Stupid was taken to a new level tonight." And then Kiki's sister retweeted it, which is why I got it. And it said, "It may be petty to retweet this, but my most popular tweet was the one about consent, and now my little sister is evicted because her choice to not consent to sexual advances has made another house guest bitter. Incredibly fair." Do you think there is any merit to this whatsoever? And I remind you that Saturday night, Kira had told Kiki, "Hey, I just want you to know that, I don't want you to go home here, or we got to get Mark out. And if I hear anything about the fact that you're going to go home, I'll use this on you. I'll use this on you and save you." And what happened from there?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I think we saw that, that was not the primary cause of Kira changing their mind. It was primarily the way that Kiki was acting, kind of shady, seeming like she was hiding something. And then Kira was like, "Can we trust them because they're acting weird?" And then Sam said, "Oh yeah, she said your name today." And that was it for Kira. That was what changed Kira's mind. I will say though, I can understand the frustration from Kiki's family, knowing the situations that have been happening before, and that person who did make advances on Kiki that Kiki did not want happened to be in charge of Kiki's fate in this moment. It must really be frustrating.
Who agreed to give her the damn veto? Who agreed to give Kira the damn blood veto? Oh, it was Kiki. Kiki was the one. She knew all of that from before. So shut up already. You played a bad game and you lost. I'm so it's like Eddie hiding behind the fact that he made eggs with sugar on them, and that was the reason why he evicted. You all play shitty ass games and you got yourself evicted. Own your shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a little fired up because these people don't own their shit, Melissa. Are you with me on this, or are you reading the chat right now?
No, sorry, I was fixing my Wi-Fi. No, but I was listening, and I was listening, and I do agree. I mean, I think that I think that this was on Kiki because consider the fact that she started the week off not being the one who was going to go home. Like they didn't want her to go home at the start of this. Even when she was put up on the block, it was more like I don't know, I don't want her to go home. And then gradually through Kiki's own doing or undoing rather, she ended up being the target. And there is so much she could have done, and yet she did nothing. And if anything, she did things to hurt her own game. There was so much, I mean, even just talking to people. She was unwilling to work with people that she didn't get along with or didn't like or didn't feel connection to or whatever. And it's like, suck it up. Don't you want to stay in this game? And the fact that she wouldn't fight for, I mean, like this twist was literally placed into her lap. Like when is there a week where you're basically given the opportunity to fight for a veto that will save you when you're on the block and you know that it's some sort of veto, maybe you don't know exactly what it is, but it's some sort of veto. You don't have to compete in a competition. You can literally just stand outside and argue for it. Like, I mean, not only that, she didn't just say like, look, I want it, but you know, like I'm willing to give it up or whatever. She was like, I'm bowing out. It's like, what are you doing? Why?
Could you imagine in Big Brother 14 when they had the bonus veto the week that Dan did the funeral, if Dan was just like, you know what, this bonus veto, I'm just gonna bow out of this one. I don't wanna rile anyone up. I don't wanna yell at Ian for taking it from me. I'm just not that passionate.
I would never ever just bow out of a veto that's like just right there. Especially if I'm on the block. Her
answer to Arissa was complete horseshit. It really was. Like she knew she made a mistake, and that's why she's using it to cover her ass and say, "Oh well, I thought this was the no."
And she's like, "Oh, I didn't want to be a bigger target." It's like you were literally going home. You're on the block,
and you knew that. And it was like she didn't have any idea, Terrence. She wasn't blindsided by this. She knew that Sam knew that she had been saying her name. She knew she was going to be a nominee.
Yeah. Arissa, I think echoes our sentiment here because I think we got multiple points in which Arissa was kind of, as somebody just tweeted at me, twisting the knife a little bit, saying, right as Kira's about to make the decision, I just want to remind you that you guys made the decision to give this person this incredible power. You are all culpable. You are all responsible for this, including you, Kiki. I mean, Kira W. So.
And then when she finds out about the Guys Alliance and it's like, yeah, we all knew that. It's like, well, then why did you say that it was fake this whole time and that it was all a rumor and that you trusted Dane and all this stuff? And then literally you wait until you're on the block about to be voted out to finally do something good. I mean, I guess I'm more frustrated because I had such high hopes and I felt like she had the right idea. She would like keep coming up with the right idea and then just like poo-pooing it and pushing it aside. And that's why I'm so frustrated, because I wanted her to be like the savior, like the hero, the one we're all rooting for. I wanted that, seeing her interviews in the beginning and seeing the way that sometimes she had the right idea. I was like, yes. And then no.
Yeah, and what's crazy about this too is that like her interactions with Kira and Sam matter even more than we would have thought, given that Kira decides who stays and who goes this week. Kira, again, as Brent pointed out, at one point in the week was like, hey, don't tell anyone, but if I need to, I'll use it on you to save you, Kiki. And that was the relationship. And if Kiki, surprisingly, we're not sure where this came from, but throws Dane under the bus in her eviction speech, and she says, "Hey, I'm coming after Dane. Dane, I know you're the reason I'm up here." Let me tell you right now, if this had been the tune that she was singing a couple of days ago, she's still in this house today, guaranteed. Kira wants Dane gone bad. One of the main reasons Kira wants Kiki out of the house is because she's a number for Dane. Kira decides who leaves and who goes. If Kira is convinced that Kiki is willing to go against Dane by outing all of his secrets and just going, you know what, I'm fully against you, Dane, Kiki is definitely staying in this house.
Yep, totally. I agree. I absolutely agree. And the other thing is that so if I'm in Kiki's position and Kira comes to me telling me, look, hey, if it comes down to it and it sounds like it's bad for you, I'll use this on you. I'd be like, okay, I need to stay close to Kira this week, make her feel really comfortable with me, make her feel awesome. And people are saying like, oh, Kiki had more pride than that or whatever. Like she wasn't going to stoop to the level of flirting with Kira all week. And that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting that she needs to like, oh, well, you should kiss her or something, like, kiss them or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that at all. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying strategically talk about how you're good for their game. Say you want to work with them. Say that you like are you have the same targets, whatever you need to say. Bond with them.
Melissa, that's the thing, Melissa. That's what she did, though. Kiki was giving bullet points of, oh, I'm a good competitor and I'm good for your game. No. That's not what she should do. She just needs to, like, sit in a room and have a conversation with him for an hour and a half. Like, Mark can easily do that. But also, you said it right earlier about, like, 10 minutes ago when you're like, that Kiki can't even, like, talk with people. I mean, that sounds hilarious to say, but she's terrible at it. She's, like, really unbelievably bad at talking with people.
Also, like, what is up with the strategy of campaigning to someone by telling them that you're a great competitor? Like, I just think that that's just such a bad strategy. You need to be, and also, okay, there's two ends of the spectrum here, which we saw tonight, which was Kiki saying, I'm a great competitor. I'm really good. I'll be a good number for you, whatever, versus Mark being like, I have a shoulder injury. I'm basically on my last leg on this world. I'm dying. Like, what the heck was that? What was his speech? I literally was just sitting there like, this sounds so fake and bizarre.
That's so literally been his pitch all week, which is like, I came in, my shoulder, I knew I wasn't going to be physical, but you know what? I thought I had mental down. And I discovered in the double eviction that I don't even have that. But what I do have is my character. And every person he tells it to is thinking, we don't like your character.
Yeah, like you have nothing then. I just feel like it's the most bizarre. It's like it's so staged. It's so fake. I don't believe it for a second. When he was speaking, I thought he was joking. Like,
yeah, me too. I thought Melissa, do you agree with me? And Taryn, I'm sure you do too. Like, he would have been better if he just said, thank you very much, and just sat down. Like, don't say anything.
It was so strange.
I will say though, for as strange as it is, I do think it's working because the perspective of Mark in the house is turning into like, oh, he's like Akira, only he's protected and people don't know that. And even the pretty boys are like, yeah, Mark's dumb. Everyone in this house, super smart except for Kira and Mark. They're dumb.
But then he completely undoes that by using words like Machiavellian in his speech.
People he's portrayed as he portrays himself as intelligent all the time, but people they see it as like, oh, okay, he's book smart, but he's dumb in the game. Like he says he does things like this that are so socially awkward and weird that he comes off as very non-threatening, and that's not his intention. Let me be clear.
Exactly.
But the way that it is coming off is, I think, beneficial to him in the sense that he is becoming somebody that a lot of people want to take very far in the game because he is so bad at competitions, and they see him as completely non-threatening because he's just so awkward and talking about his shoulder and talking about it awkwardly, but his shoulder is injured and he is bad at competitions, and also look how awkward he is.
Nevertheless, though, go ahead, Melissa.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say it's so bizarre.
I mean, how bad do you have to be at this game to literally be carried out by your house guest and a production assistant, and yet they still won't keep you, knowing that there's physical competitions coming up? How bad do you have to be that you can't even be a Christmas and stay in the house?
Look, I have to say I'm glad that that's the case, because I can just imagine, when I heard that she was injured, I was like, oh my God, because I was imagining a situation where people are like, whoa, okay, wait, she's injured. Let's drag her along. And then we end up with Kiki in the final three, whatever. And I just was imagining that scenario. So I'm very glad that that's not happening, just because it's like, I hated when Christmas got dragged along and they were like, that was literally the argument to keep her every single time was, but she's injured. She can't compete. Let's keep her along. And it's just, I don't want that to be a factor. So I'm glad that she's just out out the door with the injury.
Yeah, there was talk of trying to get Esty evicted, depending on what the power was. That they might try to get Esty evicted over Kiki, and I do think that the injury had a lot to do with that. But obviously, the power did not give them the opportunity to do that, so it did not go through. And I'm very glad.
Oh. The only thing we got out of the blood veto was the fact that we got to watch Dane freak out for about 5.5 days. I mean, that was the only thing that I particularly got out of the blood veto. We got absolutely nothing out of it game-wise, but at least it caused the house guests to spin their wheels a little bit. And by the way, I will also say that of all the guesses we had over what the blood veto does, here's the thing we should learn for the future. Production never repeats anything that's already been done before, either by them or some other television show, at least from my perspective.
Well, the US show, at least, they copy a lot of across the pond twists.
I get. Oh, well, that's fair. But I don't even watch Big Brother UK, so right. That's fair that they might copy those. But anything that the US show has done, they're not gonna. There's no Diamond Power veto. They're not gonna do anything like that. So anybody who said that was dumb. Sorry if that was you, Taryn.
No. Hey, I've been very much on the train of I don't think it's a Diamond Power veto, but I wouldn't call people dumb. That's a little harsh. So yes. Ultimately, I think this blood veto thing, it's a flop in so many ways, because you can imagine a scenario where it plays out how the audience wants it to play out. But for every one of those scenarios, I can imagine 9 other scenarios where it plays out in a way that we hate. Yeah. And we saw one of those tonight.
Yeah. Imagine if 2 pretty boys are on the block and we're like, oh my God, this is happening. And then Adam had gotten the veto. And then he's like, yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna there are so many situations in my mind where this goes terribly. Imagine if one of the pretty boys had it. They save a pretty boy. They get out, Sam or whoever. Dane gets it. He gets out Sam. I just feel like there's so many scenarios where this could go terribly wrong. And it basically leaves it up to one person to decide the fate of the game.
Who they agreed on.
But the whole thing is just so stupid. They agreed on it in such a bad way too.
Yeah, and also watching Dane kind of freak out was fun for 5 minutes, but then for the rest of the week, the feeds just slowed down to a crawl, and Kiki even said it, there's nothing left to do but speculate. I guess that's all Big Brother is, speculation. It's no, Big Brother is usually gameplay, but you've been forced to just sit there and speculate for days because there's nothing else to do. It's very frustrating. I do think that maybe if they really want to make this blood veto thing work, a way to retool it is to tell them up front what the power is before they have to decide unanimously who gets it. So they have to decide unanimously who is going to get the power to vote. Whoever home of the 2 nominees, and then you'll see some serious waiting in terms of trying to wait out the other people. That could be interesting, and then once that person gets that power, it's all about people trying to convince that one person, because it's all down to them. And, at least that's a little different. It probably would still be boring, to be honest, but I don't know. I'm trying to improve your bad ideas. Really, the best idea is to just scrap it entirely.
Just forget it.
Another twist that's a flop of a twist, Taryn. I mean, this game is playing out. This game is playing out as pretty, probably one of the purest games I've seen in a very long time. I mean, there's just absolutely nothing. And I think in some respects, that's one reason why the dominant alliance in the House has been able to rule the roost. But on the other hand, I am really excited about the fact that they have had it up to here with each other. And I don't think the status quo can maintain for that much longer. Yeah,
I don't know, when is the tipping point where so many twists turn out so poorly, when we finally realize maybe this isn't a good idea?
Yeah, maybe no more twists.
It's really down to casting, I think, with this season.
Not great.
Yeah, but
wait, can anyone explain to me why Dane was looking so upset when they were showing the montage of silly moments?
I think he was still reeling from the Kiki thing. I don't think he was expecting it, and I think that he was like trying to think through like who screwed me over, who told Kiki that I was betraying her. Is it
he was,
Esty?
like,
Is Esty against me now? And so yeah, like I noticed that too.
Yeah,
Where
it's like because it was like anytime they showed him, he was like. It's
Yeah,
like they'd like cut away to Adam, who was smiling.
he like kind of smirked a little bit in the first clip of him, like of the boxes falling on his head, but like apart from that, it was like he was definitely in his own head.
He's definitely in his own head. So obviously something happened like right before the show broke. So we'll find out what it is.
I want to know what it is. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So we saw. We should also talk, I think, a little bit about Anthony carrying Kiki up the stairs, and he hands her off to, I believe his name was Tomas. Is that it?
You looked at the name.
The production guy.
Oh, sorry, I didn't look at the name.
He's making the rounds on Twitter. Everyone loves this guy.
Oh well, all right. So let me take a look.
Yeah, it looks like it's Tomas.
Okay.
That's pretty funny.
I think I saw a Paris tweet saying, "Yeah, I tried to hit on that guy in the rap party, but not into girls."
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that was an interesting. I mean, I feel we've never seen that before, having to be carried out. At first, I forgot that she had the injury, and so I was like, what is Anthony doing? Like, this is so bizarre. Like he just lifts her up, and I thought it was just like a weird moment, and then I was like, oh, duh, she like can't really go up the stairs very easily.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting that they had a production guy carry her out of the house and a production guy carry her in the house as well.
Yeah, it's
stated Anthony there. The production not giving him any edit whatsoever.
We did get a little bit of Anthony and Corey, some character building. I feel like they've caught on. I feel like they've realized that they need to give more Anthony. Although they still gave all of like the strategic credit to Mark. Like Mark is like, I need to work on Corey. I need to work on Damien, and like none of it to Anthony. But they gave Anthony a little bit in Wednesday night's episode, and they're building his character up with Corey. I think they're trying to set him up to be the like likable hero character that eventually dismantles the pretty boys, because he probably will. So I think they're betting on the right player this time. So I'm hopeful for the future.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, watching Kiki get carried out of the house, that is one thing that Big Brother Canada does well is their visuals. And yes. I think that this was a great visual. I think they chose the person well. And having her be carried out, like that's unique. That's going to be a memorable moment. That's
very unique. Definitely. It was a pretty cool exit. If she had to go, that's the way to do it, I think.
Taryn, I have something to talk about. Sorry, were you going to continue about the...
No, I was going to start something else.
Oh, okay, sorry. So before you do, Hamster Watch tweeted, and I didn't realize this actually, that Kira has not voted 4 times now, I think. And that's pretty handy, bloody hands wise, or blood on your hands and all that sort of jazz. So,
I believe they have only voted twice, with Laura and Damien, and with Damien and Kaylin.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
Excellent.
So they voted to keep Damien twice.
Yay!
And that's it, because they've either then been on the block or had the blood veto.
Hey, and good job on Damien for voting the right way this time. Because we thought that might be a little bit of a possibility that he might accidentally vote the wrong way or have his morals get in the way about who he was going to vote for, especially after this big blow up happened. He might have felt like now that it's out in the open, I even more so need to throw her a vote just because everyone knows we're all, everyone lies at this point. But no, he voted the right way, and I was really, really glad to see that and surprised.
Yeah, I liked, because here's the thing, even though Mark shouldn't be getting the credit for rounding up the votes, I do still like hearing from him, and that's probably why we do so much, because I think he's an interesting mix of, like, he knows how to play people really well, like, intellectually, and he can execute that sometimes, but his execution is just so messy. that it rarely works the way that that it should, given how good he is, because he's able to read people and understand what motivates them and how to speak to them in a way that will convince them of things. But then he gets in his own way with his personality. But I loved what he said about Damien, which is Damien's a nice guy, way nicer than me. And if I just play into that, and I do think that him playing into that helped, because Damien did genuinely feel I am kind of torn. I do kind of like Mark, even though I kind of thought he was shady. And I feel like if Mark didn't do that work, maybe Damien doesn't go over to Mark, even if he thought the votes weren't there. So I thought that was interesting.
True. Yeah, I think Mark put in some good work there too. So good for him. And Mark continues to surprise me in terms of his awkward social ability, can also be somewhat of an asset in the house, and he can sometimes parlay that into, he's at least sort of good talking strategically with people. I believe in Mark moving forward, and I don't know anybody who's coming for him in the coming weeks.
I think that Mark is a sneaky Ian type. I think that you don't see it immediately, but he is like an Ian or a Steve, where he is so... people think he's sketchy, but at the same time, they don't respect him. And so they underestimate him. Even though they think he's sketchy, they think, but it's not worth it. It's Mark. And I also think that there's an earnestness there that if he did make it to the end, people would then turn around and be like, now I respect you. So it just popped into my head that I think he fits that. He doesn't look like those guys. But I think he is very similar in many ways. Anyway, about the episode, I feel like they really struggled to fill content in this episode.
God, yes. It went by like molasses, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because, first of all, at the start of the episode, they basically said, the vote doesn't matter, Kira decides. And then the only strategic content they had was Mark and Kiki. This is the most they've ever shown of people campaigning, going to all these different people, and it doesn't matter at all except for their conversations with Kira. So that's completely null and void. And then the rest of the episode was just was filler.
That's the problem with these vetoes that just cancel an eviction or change the eviction, whatever. That basically that just totally voids the whole week, because this happens every time where it's okay, we're editing an episode, we're putting this together, we're putting this campaign together, and then the whole time you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but why does anybody care? Literally the only thing that matters is the last 2 minutes where the person either decides to cancel the eviction or vote whoever they want out, or whatever that veto may be. And
whatever.
It literally just ruins it. It just ruins the whole episode, because it's the whole time you're thinking, why am I watching this? Why do I even care what goes on here? None of this stuff is going to matter. It's all going to come down to what Kira wants to do. So great.
Anthony's speech patterns have just ingrained themselves in my brain. So now every time I hear "oh my god" or whatever, I just think about Anthony saying that. So yeah, I mean, they put too much focus on these. They put so much focus on the blood veto. How I want to know. If anybody out there is willing, I want to know how much airtime has been dedicated over the course of the season to the blood veto. I feel like it's probably a significant percentage of the show, and to plop that's boom.
Yeah.
And how much of that time was wasted? We don't care about anticipating a big thing and then it doesn't even happen.
Doesn't even happen.
So it's frustrating.
Also, I don't understand, because also, why put at the beginning of the episode what the blood veto does, when instead you could keep the episode normal, where we're thinking to ourselves okay, what's this campaign going to mean? Okay, who's going home? But in the back of our mind being okay, the blood veto is still there. We don't even know what it does. And then reveal it at the end when it's time to that way, at least we care throughout the episode. Otherwise, I feel like we don't care throughout the episode, because we already know that it's just going to come down to Kira.
I think that they should not have done the to be continued, because they should have learned from The Walking Dead that cliffhangering and then screwing it up afterward is not a good thing to do.
That is the truth.
Yes, they should have recognized that this twist was going to go in a way that the audience did not want it to go, that it was going to flop, and they should have been able to adapt to that and change up their plan and be like, we're not going to hype this up as much. We're just going to tell them at the end of this Wednesday night episode so that they can hear it, they can think about it before the Thursday episode, and then we can put that in, we can kind of just ignore it for most of the Thursday night episode, and then, oh, look, Kira has the thing. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, wow, Kira's going to do something. Are they going to do something? Oh, they're not going to do something. Okay, well, whatever. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a way to just play this down a little bit once you know it's not going to work.
Yeah, their mistake was you're right. The mistake was to be continued. They should have just let the veto ceremony happen like normal. They should have just told Kira the power once they got the power. Like, why not? They go to the diary room. Please go to the diary room and then read the little card that's there. That way that we know what the power is going into the week. You can still edit the episode like normal, and then most of your regular audience is probably going to forget about the fact that Kira has this wonderful power that can totally void all of the wonderful editing that you did for the first 40 minutes of the episode. Yes, that would be a much better way to do it. But of course, they're not known for doing their twists all that well. They do them usually they're pretty shabbily done, but the visual is great.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too bogged down in details too, because again, I think the main message should be just scrap the whole thing. Just don't do it in the first place. It's a better idea.
Forget it.
Another flop twist, Big Brother Canada. Congratulations.
Yes. So I mean, I think something worth discussing here is that I think that a lot of the audience are disappointed in the cast, and I have to imagine that production might be a little disappointed in the cast and what's happening here. And so I want to get on the same page about because I feel like production, there's a chance they're listening, because I don't know, there's a lot of things that they've been doing that have been they started putting Anthony in the edit. They stopped, by the way, doing the awful booing during the votes. Mm-hmm. I don't want to claim credit for it, but right after I really complained about it on the podcast, it stopped. That's all I'm gonna say.
Remember when we used to make fun of Brent for being like, "Oh, they're gonna change this because I'm gonna say something," and we were like, "Yeah, that's not gonna happen." Now Taryn too.
Well, look,
wow.
That's before Trevor Boris was following me and responding to my tweets complaining about the booing.
Following me as well.
Doesn't follow me.
But I want to get on the same page about the message we want to send to production about the casting, because I think that they might be thinking about moving forward in the future. We talked about this on Twitch last night.
So what went wrong? Yes.
That I think that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you just need to cast stronger women. That's it. You need to get stronger women on the show. That's going to fix this problem. Melissa, I think you're right. I think that the Big Brother US has tried to do that many times. It's not about stronger women. I think there are a lot of women in this house that are very strong women in their personal lives. I think Kiki is a very strong woman. I think Chelsea is a very strong woman. Sam as well. I think they're all really strong women in their own rights. Yeah. It's just that in the game, they don't know it well enough. And they're not strong enough in the game because they're too unfamiliar. We saw last season, we had a bunch of strong women, we had a bunch of strong players in general, and they knew the game really well and they played really hard. And I think that if casting should learn anything from this season, it should be, cast people that know the game well. That's how to make a compelling cast. And so, yeah.
It's
not just about women too. It's about guys too. Yes. Everybody. Women and guys, cast people who know the game, and that's how you'll get a strong cast. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, just casting a strong woman, quote unquote, that could mean anything. That could be just somebody who's just loud, and that's not what we need. We need people who know the game.
You need to look no further than the current the current season of Survivor to see people who have watched the show for years and years and years, who have begged to be on it, who have pleaded to be on it, who are finally living their dream, and they are playing their freaking ass off. They are playing lights out, whether you agree with their moves or not. They are playing for the win. And I can't imagine any of these people on the current season of Big Brother Canada playing like any of these people on Survivor. They just, and it's because they don't have the tools. They
Yeah.
don't understand the show. They don't know what to look for. They don't know what the telltale signs are. I mean, Kiki got so many signs that things were not going well, even before this week. That things that you're not going well. There is a dominant guy alliance, even though you thought about it and dismissed it. It's there. It's real. It's something to be considered when you're thinking about how you want to approach things moving forward. Sam is not your enemy. Sam is somebody you could use to break up the guys alliance, and nearly did this week. Sam going into this week was said she wanted to make sure that a guy goes home, and somehow Kiki still goes home with Sam's blessing. So I really do feel like it is about the women and the men that they cast on the shows, who, if they don't know the show, I feel like they're going to fall back into sort of like predetermined social archetypal, way of doing things, and a lot of times that can lead to guys ruling the roost and women taking orders from them, and that's not a show we want to watch, Big Brother Canada. So do better.
And there are exceptions. Anthony, I think, is one of them. Although I think Anthony would be a much better player if he knew the game a lot better. But
Yes,
the exceptions do not break this advice. I think the exceptions strengthen this proposal, because the exceptions are what make the season boring. Because when you stick 16 people or 15 people in a house and none of them are like really, really knowledgeable about the game, and then one of them turns out to be really good, then you've got one really good player just maneuvering a bunch of people that can't do it very well.
Kind of like, it's similar to what's happening right now. The Stack says in the chat, I disagree. Or I guess she's not talking about Adam the player. She's talking about Adam in the chat.
You just jumped into an argument in the chat.
The way it read was like, I disagree. Adam might be more gaming, which I'm like, I want Adam to be gaming more. I don't like seeing him whine about the fact that him and Sam are being targeted, even though they haven't actually hit the block. I want Adam, like, to me, like watching Adam like actually have the game balls to cut Sam at some point would be thrilling to watch, but because I don't know exactly how much I know he's a fan of the brigade, but I'm still convinced that because remember he thought Brendan was part of the brigade. I'm convinced that's a sham. I'm not buying that. I would love to see him cut Sam at some point.
Mina in the chat says it perfectly. Cast more lions instead of Timons and Pumbas. Lions that watch Big Brother is important, and you're totally right, Brent, and I've been saying this for a while too, is that Survivor has figured this out. They've cracked it. They've been casting super fans for so long now, and it's been working so well. So yeah.
Like, even like, I don't want to spoil anything, but even the people you think wouldn't make a move. Like, it's amazing to see what Survivor has, and Canadians are now eligible for Survivor. Just as a weird aside, but they are, and I still feel like they'll screw it up. Like a Big Brother Canada, I'm talking about. Like, the last season was so great, and the reason it was so great was because everybody played to win. They played hard. They wanted to win more than the money. It was all about the win. These people, like, I don't know what the hell these people are playing for. I guess they're playing for the win, but they don't have any urgency to their game, and because of that, they're going to be swept out by the current power structure in the house, which is the Pretty Boys.
Yes, so we saw the HOH competition start on the episode here. It's an endurance competition. They are hanging upside down on a big pipe, and they're just going to be hanging there until it ends. I can't imagine, because this started more than 3 hours ago now. The feeds have not come back yet, but I there's no way it's still going as far as I'm concerned. Like, hanging on something like that is difficult, and I don't know. I feel like there's no way they're hanging there for 4 hours. I mean, people can't even stay on a wall for 4 hours nowadays. So I don't know why. I don't know why the feeds aren't back up yet. I don't know, even if it was still going on, why we wouldn't be able to see it. So yeah, it's very strange. But do we have any predictions based on the competition of who might win the HOH? I have to say myself, I feel like I've almost just gone, you know what? It's either Esty or Corey. I really feel that way. I don't think a guy can win this.
Yeah,
I think it's Corey. Yeah, Dane looked really uncomfortable when he was trying to get up on that thing. Mm-hmm. So no, I don't think there's any chance. I agree with you, Corey or Esty.
Yeah, because the guys weigh a significant amount more than the women. And even Dane, who is like a much shorter guy who probably weighs a decent amount less than somebody like Adam or certainly Anthony, I think he's still so jacked. Like he's got so much muscle and weight on him that I really feel like I think he'll probably last the longest of the guys. Maybe Damien can hang in there too, but Damien's also kind of a heavier guy. So I feel like they're all gonna have a lot of trouble. And a lot of this has to do with your legs being able to like lock up, but also like your grip holding on to your hands over there. And so the less weight you have to carry, so much the better. So Corey is very fit. We saw a little bit in the episode of her leading the East Coast Shreds. And we saw, I think I mentioned it this morning that Adam almost injured himself trying to click his heels 3 times. That was from that scene where Mark went, East Coast Shreds. And then Adam was like, I can do it twice. And then he did it twice and he's like, I can do it 3 times. And he hurt his foot. So yeah, Corey, I believe she does CrossFit or something along those lines, and I'm not the biggest fan of CrossFit, but like she's certainly very fit, and she's also very light. She has, I think, a really good build for this. And then Esty is like super light. I feel like she also does like some yoga stuff, so she has like good balance, core strength. I feel like both of those are probably, I really feel like it's going to come down to one of those two. You guys disagree?
Excellent.
No.
I know. I know. I already said I agree with you. Yeah.
I
don't.
To see if there was any
She's
spoilers
always reading
yet.
the chat.
No, I want to know if there's spoilers.
I know we're all very
Damien,
anxious.
I'm really excited to see. I just keep checking Twitter, checking chat, trying to figure out if anyone knows anything, but no one knows anything.
I don't think that you should discount the possibility that Damien could actually win. He's a slim enough build, and strong, that I don't think that and you're right about what you said. The other thing too that a lot of people don't understand about a competition like this is you can use your hands and you can use your legs, so you can like let go with your hands and like get some blood back into your hands and then grab on again and then let go with your feet and grab on with your feet. You know what I mean? So if you have a strong core, I feel like that you can go for a while. Apparently the chat is saying that Trevor Borsch said that it could go as long as 4 or 5 hours, so who knows? If they really went for it.
I mean, I guess so. I haven't tried hanging off of a pipe myself for, any amount of time. But
I don't see any of them wanting it.
I've been on a few pipes myself.
No, please. I just don't see any of them caring enough to stay on for 5 hours. So, I mean, they couldn't even debate to win a blood veto for 5 minutes. Just, I don't see these people staying on.
Yeah, and when I say it'll almost definitely come down to Esty or Corey. Sometimes things happen. Like maybe Corey cramps up or slips and has to like really like use a ton of strength to get back on, or Esty slips for like mental focus is lost, and things can absolutely happen. And Damien is definitely somebody to potentially watch out for. I think he said he weighs like 190 something, so a little heavier.
Really?
I think he might struggle, but he's also very strong. So I think people like Damien and Dane could hang on long enough for Corey or Esty to make a mistake. Adam, I just have a hard time. He's so tall. He must weigh a lot, and he doesn't have as much muscle for his height as somebody like Dane does. But that also might make him slightly lighter. So.
I have a question. I know Corey generally what she might do, but Esty, I have no idea what she would do if she wins HOH. I mean, Sam and Adam are obviously possibilities, but given that Kiki just unleashed the wrath of vengeance on Dane, I don't know what's up with that relationship. I would think that she would not nominate him simply because of the fact that where else is she going to go if she gets out the one person who might be willing to work with her? On the other hand, she might have seen that he's a liar and a snake. So I don't know.
Yes. All right. Well, we're gonna finish this. We're gonna finish this conversation, and then we're gonna go to spoilers because apparently the feeds have come on. So let's just talk through what we might think Esty will do, and then we'll talk about spoilers right after. So yeah, I mean, I think Esty going into what we saw in the feeds, going into this eviction, probably would have gone after, like Adam and Sam. But who knows what her relationship with Dane is right now? Because, I mean, I don't know if she co-signed the whole thing with Kiki, if she was like on board with it. Obviously, if she feels something about Dane that he's not trustworthy, but like who else does she have at this point? I don't see her putting Dane up. I don't see her going against Damien. Maybe she would put up Anthony and Corey, but I feel like it would probably be Adam and Sam. So that's probably where I see that going. But we do know the answer. So we can get into more detail about this speculation in just a second if you want to stick around for the spoilers. But if you don't, I want to thank you for joining us. And I will be live tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update on everything that happens tonight on the feeds. And then Sunday night, we will be live after the episode, hopefully with Bruno from Big Brother Canada 3 and 5, and we'll have some fun. It'll be great, and we can also talk about the stock watch and everything on Monday. Right? Yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
Yes,
During the roundtable. So make sure you tune in for that as well. You can find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taryn. Brent is at One Lucky Gay. Melissa is at It's Melissa with 3 A's. And let's get into the spoilers. Spoiler stuff.
I was waiting for the song.
This is a spoiler.
There you go. All right, so spoilers have arrived, and
As you predicted, Taryn.
as I predicted, Corey has won the HOH. There you go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what's
As I
weird though
predicted as
is
well.
that an hour ago, Mark's BBCAN Twitter account said, "Congrats to Corey for winning HOH this week." And everyone was like, stop messing around. And I was like, wait, what? And then it happened. So I don't know whether it was like a joke or like they were just guessing or what.
yeah, I took that to mean like Corey's gonna win this. I thought about tweeting something like that, and I've done that before, where it's like an obvious competition that this person is probably gonna win. Like, congrats on winning, because you're definitely winning this one.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, wait, So I don't know. I mean, obviously it probably was just a joke, or a guess or whatever, but still kind of weird.
So what's interesting about Corey winning this is that obviously she is heavily under the influence of Anthony, right? And Anthony will probably point her in the direction of Esty or Sam, probably more Sam than Esty if he can help it. However, she has been bonding quite a lot with Sam over the last week. She's definitely not going to want to just gun straight for Sam, in my opinion. I think that she is going to want to, at the very least, go after Esty before Sam. And what she really wants to do, according to her conversations with Sam, is go after Dane. She's, been talking about it. And now she is playing Sam a little bit under Anthony's guidance to be like, blame it all on Dane, bond with Sam. But I do think she genuinely feels like Dane is a big threat in the game, and that if she can take a shot at Dane and get him out, that would be really good for her. So I think that she is going to go into this week with the idea of, is there a way for me to get Dane out? If so, how can I go about doing it? I think Anthony will be in her ear being like, I don't know about Dane. What about Sam? What about Esty? And I think Sam will be in her ear being like, I don't know. There was this guy's thing. I mean, I don't believe it, but it might be a thing, and watch out. And Dane, remember we talked about Dane. Dane tried to get you backdoored. So we could see some stuff go on here, Melissa.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is definitely one of the more interesting outcomes, just because first of all, we've barely seen Corey do anything throughout this game. And second, she's not one of the pretty boys. So I feel like I was going to be a little upset, I guess, if we ended up with Dane and Adam just trading off HOHs till the end of time. So it is nice to switch it up and kind of get someone who's kind of on the outskirts. I mean, she is with Anthony, but at least she's a little bit on the outskirts, and she actually has some bonds with maybe Damien or some of the other people. So I think that it'll be an interesting week, because I honestly, I don't know what she's going to do.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about Corey winning this is that Damien should be safe, and Corey is definitely safe. So I feel good about that.
Yeah, I feel like SD, Dane will probably be the nominees, with possibilities of Sam or Adam as possibly a backdoor if needed. But I really do think she would probably want SD or Dane out of the house. I think SD and Dane are going to be her nominations, and I think Anthony will be fine with that. I mean, he has 3 votes with the Pretty Boys. Those 3 plus her as Corey as the tiebreaker, they can literally control whatever they want. So if they want to get SD out, they've got the votes right there.
Yeah, and there are some things. There are some things I could see happening. I could see Anthony pushing too hard. He's done really well so far, but he sometimes has ideas that I think, whoa. And I'm just waiting for the day that he goes too far. It could be this week where if he tries to push Corey too far, maybe he really wants Sam gone and she really doesn't want to, and she starts to feel like she's being manipulated. That could be something that happens. Don't get your hopes up, but it's a possibility. Adam right now is talking to Sam talking to Mark and being like, I am not okay if this gets pinned on me, this backdoor Corey plan. This should be on Dane. And like, if
get up there and talk with her.
If for some reason Adam and Sam go up, I think Adam will be very pissed about that. And I think that he might try to out some things and throw Dane under the bus. And that could spark the war that's definitely, there's a lot of flammable gas in the air right now, and a spark could light it all off. But there's also definitely a lot of possibility that SD kind of quietly goes home this week. We have to wait a little longer for the war to start. But either way, I think there's a lot to look forward to in the next couple days.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that this is a good outcome because it keeps Damian and Anthony safe, and I still want to see more from them. So I'm glad that they're still going to stick around. Well, hopefully they're going to stick around for another week.
Yes.
And
so
Taryn, I have to say that if Adam is sensing that something might be pinned on him, or that he might go up, or Sam and him might go up, I really hope he gets up there and talks with her and gets it out and makes sure that the truth is known, or at least his version of the truth is known. This is something I was always really frustrated with Jessica and Cody during Big Brother 19, the week that she had the hex and Paul was HOH, and she basically just didn't say enough. They kind of vaguely threatened Paul a little bit and then just kind of hung out by themselves. And then Paul ended up nominating them. And then once he nominated them, they were like, you dummy, why did you nominate us? But it was by then too late to change anything. Of course, the veto could change something, but you can't depend on that. So I have to feel like Adam needs to get up there and plead his case to Corey to make sure that she knows that it was Dane, at least from his perspective.
Yes, and I also just thought of something, and Anita is like completely with me here because they said it at the same time in the chat. I wonder what Anthony will pitch, because Anthony has been saying for a while now, for a few days at least, he's been saying, no, don't worry, I have Corey on lock. If she wins, you are not touching the block. You are not touching the block. I can influence her. I can tell her who to nominate. And she loves you, Dane. She loves you, Adam. She will not nominate one of the guys. I have Corey on lock. That's why we need to keep her. And they have been pushing back. Corey's dangerous. She's good at competitions. No. It's not only about competitions. It's about trust. It's about percentages. And I know where Corey is. Corey, I don't control her. She listens to me. I'm smart.
Yeah,
I make a lot of great points, and she listens to me. And so,
but I don't control her. Yeah.
If I think it's going to be a tall order to keep Corey from nominating one of the guys, because what are the options? SD, Sam, and Kira, right? Those are the only. There's nobody else left in the house.
She's going to nominate one of the guys. It's just, to me, it's a matter of whether or not it's Dane or Adam. I think that it's either SD and Adam or SD and Dane, but I definitely think SD is on the block.
Yeah, so I don't think she wants to nominate Sam. Kira, I guess, is a possibility if she really wants to put up a pawn next to SD, but those nominations probably seem pretty weak to her, so I don't know. But Anthony could be in a tricky spot with the Pretty Boys, with Corey, in this position where he really needs to get a certain result to happen in order to fulfill the promises that he's been making. And if he wants to continue to keep Corey safe moving forward, he'll need to live up to those promises. And if he if he doesn't, and the guys feel like, hey, you've been kind of misleading us, Corey was coming after Dane the whole time, then again, there's a lot of tension already there. So who knows? Yes. Douglas says, this is Taryn, this is why you got to introduce short selling on the stock watch so we can get trade activity on Anthony's stock. Oh, people want to start shorting Anthony. I've thought about it. But yes, I think that's what we got for you. Any other speculation, any other stuff that we want to talk about here?
No, just that I'm not really thrilled with that Corey won this HOH. I do feel like it's going to cement the fact in people's minds that she is a real physical threat.
Mm-hmm.
And
for her game, I feel don't like it.
For her specific game, I do not like this. I think it's balanced out by the fact that yes, she's HOH this week, so she can affect the game. But let's see what she does with that power. She does something really good with that power, then I'm inclined to think more highly of her. But if it's just a get Esty out, like with Kira as a nominee, and then now she showed her cards as a physical threat, girl, bye.
Yeah, something interesting about the stock watch is that it really makes me think even harder about like who could possibly be in any danger going into next week. And when I was thinking about Corey's position, I really felt pretty strongly that she was not going to be targeted. I didn't feel like she was going to go home in almost any scenario. And so for her to win this one, she's going to make enemies, and she is now adding to this resume of like, hey, I'm a competition threat. There's a lot not to like here about this win from Corey, but we'll see how it goes,
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for joining us tonight. I felt like we had some fun here. The episode, whatever. But we had fun talking about it. We had fun hanging out, talking about it. That's what this show is all about. Even when Big Brother's bad, it's still good because we can be here and chat and have fun.
I will say that the last 15 minutes of it kind of woke me up, like watching like that whole flop of a twist play out. I took my dad to see Us, the movie with by Jordan Peele earlier today, and it was one of these movies that like the tension is so high throughout it, like it literally tires you out. So like by 8 p.m. tonight, I'm like yawning, and then like the episode mostly woke me up, and I was like revving to go at the start of this podcast, like I got shit to say. As the chat noticed, by the end, I was like, yeah, I'm a little tired again.
Well, there you go. So thank you guys so much for joining us. You can find us on Twitter. Once again, I'm at Armstrong Taryn. Melissa is at It's Melissa with 3 A's. And of course, make sure you block Brent at One Lucky Gay. It's starting to become a trend, I hear. So it's starting to just hashtag block Brent. It's a movement.
Butthurt people. If you're in the public eye, you're gonna get some criticism. By the way, I do not block people. I do not block people unless you're like a troll who's like homophobic asshole who's saying stuff to me. No, come at me if you want.
I really wanted to tweet at you the gif from The Simpsons where it's Principal Skinner or whatever his name is. He's like, "Am I wrong? No, it's the kids who are wrong. It's everyone else."
Everybody else is wrong.
Come on. You're in the public eye. You're gonna get negative criticism. Do something with it. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us, guys. I will see you next time.